ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the Talksport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search Talksport Fan Network.
Welcome back to the Dean Court Social, and thank you for joining us. Before we get going, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the bell button below. It helps the channel to grow. And a big thank you to our two sponsors. Firstly, Touchpoint Telecoms at touchpointtelecoms.co.uk. For all your business telecoms needs, get in contact with Mark and the team from Somerset to Wiltshire. That's not very far, actually. Somerset to Kent, shall we say that? Dorset to Humberside and everywhere in between. So pretty much the whole country. Get in contact with Mark. And also, if you need your teeth sorted, you know where to go. You go to Dental on the Banks at dentalonthebanks.co.uk and do check them out. Thank you to them for continuing their sponsorship of this channel. So, before further ado, he needs no introduction, but we're going to say it anyway. How you doing, Matt Harrison?
Yeah, all good, Craig. Yeah, not bad. Looking forward to this weekend's game. It's going to be a tricky one. But yeah, looking forward to discussing it and potentially how Bournemouth can, potentially express and take advantage of potential weaknesses, if there is any at the minute, with the Spurs side. But yeah, always looking forward to being on the Dean Court Social. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Well, let's touch upon our previous two games first. Of course, last Saturday, we played Wolverhampton Wanderers in a 1-0 win, a game in which Wolves were reduced to 10 men. Midweek, though, not so good. We had our Achilles heel, Brentford, turn up. And unfortunately, we lost that game. We're out of the cup. And of course, we were reduced to 10 men. Matt, what do you make of the two games? Let's discuss Wolves first.
Yeah, looking back at the Wolves game briefly, firstly and foremost, it was good to get the first 3 points on the board. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
The performance wasn't the greatest, I would say, especially in the second half. But, we did grind out that win. Wolves, I thought at some points in the second half, we made Wolves look better than what they were.
Yeah.
They gave us a couple of scary moments, especially sort of with that last corner where they sent out the keeper for and things like that. But yeah, looking back on the game itself, it wasn't our greatest performance. But, the most important thing is that we've now, 2 games in and we've got 3 points on the board. I still think, I've always said I think we play better against the better football inside. So when you compare the Liverpool game and the Wolves game, we were excellent in that game at Liverpool. But when we play against the sides who, let's be honest, I think Wolves are going to be down there fighting. When you play against those kind of sides, they get really stuck in and they dig in deep, and it makes us sometimes, a bit difficult for us to play our normal games. So I think the game that we're going to be looking at this weekend is going to be different. I don't think you're going to see a similar performance from Bournemouth that we saw against Wolves. It's going to be a much better game of football. But the most important thing for the Wolves game was that obviously getting that, rather than the performance, was getting the 3 points on the board. As for Brentford, very disappointed, got to say. I think my personal opinion is I don't think they're a great side. And even though I know Andoni has tweaked the side a lot, which, I get why he's done it, because you've got to give players game time. And, really for clubs like us, it's the only way of giving them the game time in the Cups. I think some of the players that were picked were a bit underwhelming. And I think that they didn't really do themselves any favour to really push themselves to be in contention for a starting place. But I could go into a bit more detail, but I'm not going to on this preview. But if people are watching this and they haven't seen Cherry Picking this week, then do check out Cherry Picking, as we discuss that one a little bit more in more detail. But overall, yeah, very, very disappointing. It would have been nice to go further in the Cup, especially when you see some of the results as well. Obviously, United getting knocked out by Grimsby, and the Carabao Cup. Always enjoyed the Carabao Cup, the midweek fixtures and things like that. So it would have been nice to go a bit further. But I do understand his team selection. And on paper, to be fair, I think that team that he did select could have beaten Brentford, to be fair. But something just didn't click on the night, did it?
No.
But yeah, good to see the new signings. Ben Doak making his debut. I think he found it a little bit difficult. But then again, he was up against a quality left back. I mean, out of all the Brentford players, the Henry, the left back, I think he's a quality player. And I don't think Adley had the same impact throughout the minutes he was on. But yeah, I mean, to dive a little bit more deeper into that, obviously, if you're watching this and you'll watch this week's Cherry Picking, then do check that out. We'll look at it a bit deeper. But yeah, all in all, the performance in comparison to the last two games has got to be, and I think will be, better against Spurs.
Yeah, 100%. And the Wolves game, we could have won that about 3-0, but we didn't really take control of the game after their sending off. I think it was at that point we was a little bit more disappointing. First half, I think we managed the game well. Of course, Wolves aren't particularly the side that we like coming up against in the league, at least. At Dean Court, we just don't seem to beat them. So that was refreshing. However, we should have put it to bed way beforehand rather than having a bit of a nervy finale of 10 men really having a go for it. Whereas the Brentford game, there's a lot of players that unfortunately, will be a bit disappointed with their performance. And one player in particular who will be suspended for this game against Spurs, although he's not a starter anyway, showed a whole deal of naivety. Of course, we're talking about Julian Arejo.
Yeah.
In all honesty, and I'm going to say it now. And some fans, were a little bit peeved with me about saying this in the first place. I thought that the second yellow card should really have been a straight red. The way his foot was above the ball, and went onto the player's shin, it was just completely unacceptable. Now, if he was going from ground level and tacking the ball from the front or the side and caught the man, yes, second yellow card, fine. But if you are raising your foot and putting your foot down, if the ball is underneath your foot anyway, what are you going to be doing with it? It just made no sense. And I don't think he did it maliciously, don't get me wrong, but that shows a whole deal of naivety. And frustrated or not, we can't accept that. And unfortunately, well, we probably already lost the game at that time. Well, we most definitely did. But at the same time, we can't have that sort of, tackle. And I think Andoni will be having strong words. Like I say, I don't think he's that sort of player, but he needs to learn from that most definitely. And if he's that naive, maybe his time here is probably coming to an end. He's had plenty of time and plenty of chances to actually turn that round.
Yeah, I mean, you've hit the nail on the head. It's a silly tackle to do. and then to get yourself suspended for, the next league fixture, and obviously not have you as part of the squad is a bit stupid, really. Especially like you say, at that point the game was gone. In my opinion, I couldn't
Yeah.
see us coming back. Even the second half introductions of Semenyo and the other substitutions we made throughout the half. By that point, the game was gone. And yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a stupid thing to do. Now he's obviously not going to be able to be part of the squad on Saturday, which obviously weakens it a little bit. But then, as we'll see a bit later on, the squad as a whole has sort of strengthened anyway, which is quite pleasing. But yeah, all in all, stupid tackle to do. And like you say, game was gone at that point.
Well, I tell you what, let's put those games to bed. We have got a chance this weekend before the international break to, make amends. Of course, the Wolves game was a win anyway, but in terms of performance, to make amends, because it wasn't the greatest performances, I agree with you. And of course, that's against Tottenham Hotspur, but they have started very, very, very well under their new manager, Thomas Frank. Now, Matt, I'm going to bring something up that I said last season. And I said Ange Postecoglou is a man that I really, really like. He's a decent human being. He was so supportive of the players when they won that trophy, the first Spurs trophy in years. And of course, he was sacked pretty much that same week. And, a lot of people were like me saying, what are they doing? They could kick on from this point. In comes Thomas Frank, somebody I don't particularly like. I think, to be honest, he looks a bit like Ed Tudor-Pole from the Crystal Maze. He keeps tapping his watch, so maybe he's, timing them on a automatic lock-in. If you've watched the Crystal Maze, you'll know what I'm on about.
Yeah.
But there's no doubt, really, this probably is the right decision as much as we don't like him.
Not being funny, but yeah, I can't agree more. I thought obviously the sacking of Ange was harsh, even though their league form was terrible for their stature. At the end of the day, he's the first manager to bring home a trophy since they won the Carling Cup in 2008. I think they won the FA Cup in 91. And then before that was a European trophy during the 80s, wasn't it? So, he's the first man to bring home a European trophy in over 40 years. So, yeah, I thought he deserved a little bit more time. And I thought, fair enough. If you're not doing well in the league come October sort of time, make the change. But credit to David Levy, really. He's brought in the right man, I think. And I personally thought when Thomas Frank was appointed, I thought he ain't going to last long. But if he carries on like he's done in his first 3 competitive games, then, he's going to have a good season at Spurs.
Well, it's fair to say that, Thomas Frank has got the fans pleased, or pleased, I should say. Yeah, sorry, I will stop with, with the old Crystal Maze jokes now. They're no longer stuck in the Aztec zone. They've they've at least moved forwards. If Ed Tudor-Pole's watching, apologies. Checks in the post. But they have done very, very well, and they do look like a revitalized team. They look like a team that, dare I say it, I know it's only 2 games. I watched their game, against PSG in the Super Cup, whatever the thing is. Super Cup, yeah. To be honest, I've never understood that trophy, but at the end of the day, it's a trophy.
I think it's got UEFA's equivalent to the Charity Shield, isn't it? It's where the winners of the Champions League play the Europa League. I get it.
Yeah.
But it's one of those games that, I think if you win it, it's important. If you don't win it, you're not bothered. I think it's one of those, isn't it? A bit like the Community Shield.
Yeah. But is it too early to say that Spurs could be title contenders?
Yes, but at the same time, no. Yeah, it is, because obviously there's a long, long way to go.
Yeah.
But no, because they're showing signs that they're going to be competing this year, especially for a European place. Whether they're going to compete for the title remains to be seen. But I think from what we've seen so far, if they stay injury free, I know he wants another attacking player to be brought in as well before the transfer window ends. Obviously, they lost out on Eze. So I think, he's going to want to bring in someone into that role as well. I think if they do that, and like I say, he can stay injury free for the season, and he manages their game time, I can't see why they can't be competing for Europe, to be honest. Top four.
Yeah. What weaknesses do they actually have, though?
But this is it. This is the problem now. Since I've looked at it, tried to look at it from ball point of view. If our side were playing their sides, and obviously, watching them against City, if anyone saw them against City, I thought they were fantastic. I watched, was it the highlights of their first game, I think, and again, they just looked really impressive throughout the whole section of the highlights. I mean, his side, I think he's kind of brought a lot of things that he did at Brentford and implemented it into the Tottenham side. Like the high press, which I think is really suiting Tottenham to the ground at the minute, because especially from goal kicks, it's kind of like watching Evan Nilsson, press so high. I think we need to target their flanks personally if we're going to expose a weakness. I think if we can exploit the space behind the wing backs, I think that because where they're pressing so high, I think we might be able to counter attack. I think Justin Kluivert being back is very, very key. And if he starts in behind the front man, I think him coming in and isolating defenders and creating some overloads potentially exploit some more weakness in that Spurs side. I think, again, like any game, and I've said recently, being clinical from set pieces could be critical. I think I remember saying in the Liverpool preview that if we were going to nick anything at Liverpool, set pieces could be quite critical that we're clinical from. And I think, with playing at Spurs, if we can be, like we showed at Arsenal last season, clinical from set piece and throw-ins and things like that, especially with taking advantage of like someone like Semenyo's throw. If we can be clinical and create from things like that, that's another way that we could, disrupt them. I think Christie being fit again, like Kluivert, is massive for us. I think, like they showed so many times last season, if we can intercept early and begin a press and win the ball from the midfield and begin to press from there, that's also just going to aid us massively. The numbers, I've noticed the numbers that Spurs now commit when they're going forward, just shows that, counter-attacking for us and on the break could be very, very important for us. I'd be very, very surprised if we go up there and it be a tit-for-tat game of football. I think both teams are going to be out for it. And up for it. I think we might need a bit more of the physical edge.
Yeah.
There. I think we'll have the underdog mentality, possibly, and everyone will see us as the underdog. But if we can play, and I feel when we watch them play away, we play with a lot less pressure and a lot more freedom to express as well. So that could work to our advantage. So yeah, lots of little bits like that. I think that, and I think the high press and getting in behind their wing backs and our counter attack and to express ourselves and have a bit more less pressure, obviously being away from home, free flowing football. If we can expose those slight weaknesses, then I think we're in with a chance. I mean, are we going to win the game? Obviously, we'd give our score predictions at the end, but it's
Yeah.
going to be tough. Spurs are on form. They've beaten Man City. I know that Tottenham are a bit of a bogey side for City, but to go up to City and get a win, and I think they're all in tune with Thomas Frank. I think they've really brought into his philosophy, and I think there's, like I say, there's a lot of that Brentford mentality, I think, as well, that he's brought in now. Last season, I think Brentford were the highest goal scoring side from headers last
Yeah.
season. I think I might be wrong, but they, I think, yeah, I mean, I think he's kind of introducing little bits that worked at Brentford into their style of play,
Hmm.
and I think when you look at like the headers, the top of the charts of the headers last season. I think they're going to implement little pieces that he had done excellent at Brentford and implement it with this Tottenham side. But yeah, all in all, I mean, yeah, he's not my favourite, but I mean, you got to take your hat off to him. He's done a fantastic job. He's built Brentford and made Brentford what that is. When we look back at Eddie Howe's legacy, Thomas Frank has a legacy at Brentford,
Yeah.
and he's built a great club at Brentford, and I think he could be the one that might bring some more success to Tottenham.
I think last season, of course, when we went there and, we were unlucky not to walk away with 3 points. To be honest, hopelessly unlucky, to be honest. Really, we should have won that game. Of course, we did win the home game, Dean Howson's header as well, which, was a bit of their Achilles heel last season. I think he shored that up. Of course, this preview isn't about West Ham, but player that has, of course, it's made West Ham very, very weak actually, and hence the reason why I think they are where they are. But Mohamed Kudus is looking very, very good for Spurs, and I think he could well be the one that unlocks the success. And he's a very, very clever signing by Daniel Levy and Tottenham Hotspur. He's somebody as well that we need to keep an eye on. He always seems to have a very good game against us, so
Yeah,
I think
yes,
we need to shut him up.
yeah,
But let's talk about a former Cherry, Dominic Solanke, because he's kind of been frozen out by Richarlison, who, as if anybody remembers, was not really getting a run under Ange at one point. It's now kind of flipped. Do you feel sorry for Dom?
yeah. In some respects, but then at the same time, you've got to say fair play to Richardson because he's been given his opportunity and he's taken it with both
Mm,
hands, isn't he?
yeah.
He's putting some good performances lately. So yeah, of course you feel sorry for Dom. Obviously, Dom's been, a player that, grew into the player he is at Bournemouth. And,
Yeah.
when he came in, he was, kind of rough around the edges. And, he had that good season in the Championship, couple of good seasons that got with goal tallies in the Championship, and then took that into the Premier League. And, fair play, got his move to Spurs. Yeah, I do feel sorry for him, but I think if you look at Dom's quality, I think there's a way that he can force his way back in there. Um,
Mm,
we all know what Dom's attributes are. And what football's like. It's a funny old game. If Richardson takes a knock, Dom will take his opportunity with both hands to, make sure he doesn't get back into the side. So yeah, I do feel a bit sorry for him at the minute.
mm.
Obviously don't want him to score against us on Saturday. But yeah, no, I think all in all, um, Dom's a good professional. I think Dom will bide his time and earn his place back. Personally,
Yeah, I think he will do. And I'm sure that Thomas Frank will enjoy working with Dom. And like I say, Thomas Frank, a very, very good manager. I think he will potentially bring Dom on a little bit further whilst he's there, where maybe Ange wouldn't have. Dare I say it? I know that there might be some pitchforks out for me, considering how much we dislike Thomas Frank, but that is my honest opinion. But I tell you what, let's hear the opinions of Harry Scarfe, a very, very good podcast producer of Scarfe Spurs Talk. And this is what he's got to say before this match.
What is happening, people? Very grateful for this opportunity. Hope you're all keeping well. As my Tottenham point of view ahead of Tottenham versus Bournemouth this weekend. Really looking forward to this game between two top teams. So let's get straight into it. So I think the neutrals will be interested in this one. I genuinely think that. I think Bournemouth are a very good outfit. And what's really impressed me about Bournemouth is just how you've coped with losing so many players, and it must be nice in a way. As frustrating it is to lose those players, knowing that Bournemouth are doing business with Real Madrid, with PSG, with Liverpool. It must be good to know that you're in that position, which Bournemouth probably haven't been in before, it's fair to say, and valuable assets that they've got. And I think you've done well to keep hold of the majority of your attacking output. I'm talking about Christie, Semenya. You've done very well to keep hold of them. Evan Nilsson, you let Atara go, didn't you, to Brentford? Yeah, that's right. So apart from that, I think even that you've probably got a good deal from that. And of course the centre backs as well, you get a lot of money in, and you've redistributed some of it in other areas. Be good to see whether those signings will be right for you and whether it's going to take time to gel. What really impressed me, I know you lost the game 4-2 to Liverpool in the end, but for periods of that game you went toe to toe with Liverpool, showed fight anyway against Liverpool. With all that change, and Iraola I think is a really class manager to be able to cope with several changes. We're talking about a completely different, all changed back line pretty much. Apart from one, maybe two, it's all changed. So you've really impressed me. But this game, I go into it knowing, okay, Bournemouth, are a good side. It's not going to be easy. You used to be going into games against Bournemouth and you get the first goal, you might be able to run away with it. But it's completely changed now. Under Iraola, always competitive under Howe, but another level, even away from home under Iraola. So I think he's a very good manager. Shame it fell away from you a little bit at the end of last season. So I think it'll start to gel, take a while for you. It could gel quite nicely in this game. From a Tottenham point of view, very good start to the season. I think we've got to keep this momentum going before the fixtures get a little bit tougher. I mean, it's really good to win against Man City away. We seem to have a really good record against them in recent years. Burnley got a routine win at home. So good early days under Thomas Frank. I'm just frustrated that he doesn't get the backing that he needs or deserves. It's incredibly frustrating because he signed well in Paulinho and Kudus, but we just have an A team. We have a good 11. That's it. 1 to 2 injuries, we've got a real problem. Luckily, we don't play as much gun-ho football or as high line. We've got a manager that's actually really good at coaching, which is a very important point, I think. So that is good in that aspect. However, we've just got to do so much more in the transfer window. 3 or 4 positions we're short. Haven't replaced Son, who left for LAFC weeks ago. Haven't replaced Maddison, who did his ACL over a month ago. And that's the thing. We were trying to sign Gibbs White when Maddison wasn't injured. And then Maddison's got injured for the season pretty much with ACL, several months anyway. Gibbs White we failed to land. Kulusevski's injury's been delayed and we've signed absolutely no one. So we've gone from having Maddison and Gibbs White at least to no one, neither of them. Because Maddison's injured and Gibbs White's not going to come and we failed to land Eze. So the window's been frustrating. But on this game, from a Tottenham point of view, I don't see any need to change the formation. So for me, we'd keep with the 4 with, at the back. If Fakaro in goal, we'd have Porro right back, Spence left back. Udogie will be closer to coming back. But for me, Udogie's got around his place in this team, a bit like with Solanke up front. And right now, Spence deserves that left back slot. Then I'd have Van der Ven and Romero as the centre backs. Then in front, I would have Paulinho, Bensker and Sarr, very good 3. I think they proved that against City. I think it's the best midfield 3 we've got on paper available to us that fit at the moment. And then we move into the forward line, and it'd be for me Mohamed Kudus on the right, Brennan Johnson on the left, Richarlison down the middle. So this game has potential to be good, has potential for goals, your defence gelling. Having said that, I don't think we give you too many chances because we need to be really secure, particularly if having that typical number 6 with Paulinho and the work rates. What's really impressed me, the press. So I think we're going to make it uncomfortable for you as well to play out from the back. So score prediction wise, I'm going to back my side, nothing other than that. So I'm going to go 3-1 Spurs, but I think there's a genuine possibility that Bournemouth make it very difficult and can even get something from this game. So the start's really important and we can't take our foot off the gas if we do go 1-0 up. So I've been very impressed with what I've seen under Thomas Frank, but we must keep it going. But For the rest of the season, I think both clubs are in for a good season. I think Tottenham at the moment probably going to be in and around that top 6 from what I've seen in early days. Don't want to get too carried away. And Bournemouth, I think, potential for another top half finish or even latter stages of Europe. Of course, it's very hard. We don't keep hold of your top players. But someone like Evan Nilsson, I think, is going to have a really good season this season. Semenya, very key player. Absolutely love him, by the way. I'd probably want him as a winger. So if Tottenham can try and get him, that'd be fantastic. I'd love to pinch him, I'm afraid. But no, really looking forward to this game again. Thank you very much for this opportunity and all the best for the rest of the season. Thank you very much for having me, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe to this channel.
There we are. Thank you to Harry Scarfe, and please do go and check out Scarfe Spurs Talk on YouTube, Spotify, and all other good podcasting platforms. But Matt, I tell you what, it's about time we have a look at our lineup. So
Yeah.
Here it is. Let's talk through this.
Well, I think obviously the back four will not change. I
Agree.
think that's our strongest back four currently. Goalkeeper, obviously, we know that, Petrovic is the number one. He's going to have that spot every week. Midfield, I think there will be a change. I think with Christie getting minutes under his belt against Brentford, I think it's time that he comes back into that midfield role. Where we have missed that energy and what he brings us from that midfield, and obviously he will partner Adams in that midfield. Obviously, with Cook still being out. I think there will be a change up top as well. Not up top with Evan Nilsson. Evan Nilsson will obviously keep his place, but I do think might be time, even though he's played well lately, I think Brooksy may drop to the bench and Kluivert will come in. And I think Kluivert can exploit some weaknesses in the Tottenham defence, especially with, if we do counter attack and high press, Semenyo, Tavernier, we know what they can do. I can't see, some people may be saying Brooks may start ahead of Tavernier. I just can't see Andoni dropping him. I just think Tavernier will have that right flank and Semenyo on the left. A few changes, notable changes on the bench. Obviously, there's some players that have left us recently as well.
Yeah.
So we've gone with the bench that's there of Dennis, Brooks, Scott, Doak, Adley, Soler, Kupri, Hill, and Winterburn. I think Adley, we'll see minutes of him, I think, from the bench. Definitely. We possibly may see Doak, but I'd imagine we'll probably see Brooks over Doak, to be fair. Adley, explosive performance when he come on against Wolves. He looked really exciting.
Yeah.
Struggled to get in the game a bit, to be fair, against Brentford. But I think he could be a bit of a secret weapon for us from the bench if required on Saturday. I know obviously we've got no right back. We have got a full back in Soler. I know we haven't got the right back because of the suspension, but obviously we do have James Hill, who can obviously operate across that back four. So pretty good coverage on the bench. Good from attacking sense. There's some options there for Andoni definitely to use if he goes with this lineup. Who knows? Obviously, we're just predicting, but there's definitely a lot of options. There's a lot more options there now than probably the start of the season that he can pick to maybe change and adapt the game with.
There we are. There is our lineup for anybody watching on Spotify or listening on Spotify, I should say. Petrovic in goal. There's no surprise there. Trevor on the left. Senesi and Diakite in the centre. Adam Smith on the right-hand side. Adams and Ryan Christie's return. Just behind Justin Kluivert in the more advanced position. Semenyo on the left. Tavernier on the right. Evan Nilsson up front. To be honest, the only one I would really question is that one Tavernier, maybe bringing Brooks. I think Christie, if he is fit, he has to play, in my honest opinion. He is the heartbeat. He is probably the unspoken man by other clubs' fans. People don't realise how important he is for us, but we do. I think, Brooks for Tavernier, Of course, Tavernier made that goal, but really scored that goal with a bit of help from the Wolves defender on Saturday. So I think, yeah, let's give Tavernier the nod, in my honest opinion, as well. There we go.
There we
So
go.
that is our lineup. We agree. See, we agree on everything, don't we, really, Matt? No, we don't, to be honest. No. Here we are. This might be something that we disagree on.
Possibly.
Predictions. Matt, I'll go to you first. Spurs, very, very good form. Us, got the result against Wolves. Liverpool didn't expect anything. Brentford game, less said about that, the better. How do you think this one could go?
If we can put in a performance like we did against Liverpool, we've got every chance of getting something out of the game. We know that Spurs are on a good run, and I don't think we're going to see a Bournemouth performance like we saw against Wolves. Like I say, I think against a better attacking side, we play better. There's definitely going to be goals. I can't see us keeping a clean sheet, unfortunately. I can't. I'd love us to. But yeah, all in all, you know me, I can't back against us. My head's saying one thing, but I'm going to go with my heart, and I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw. If we can get a 2-2 draw, that's going to be one hell of a game of football for the neutral, and it'd be a great point for us to bring back home from Spurs. So yeah, 2-2.
Well, I'm going to give kind of 3 predictions, which kind of defeats the object here. Of
What,
course,
win, lose or draw?
win, lose or draw. Yeah. To be honest, if I'd had a night on the Shandies the night before this game, I'd say, yeah, we can beat them. So that would be a night on the Shandies. The heart goes with the draw, but to be honest, the head, Spurs are in momentum. They're doing very, very well. I was impressed against PSG, impressed against Man City. Burnley, let's be honest, are Burnley, but they showed how good they are against Sunderland. I hate to say it, and I don't ever normally bet against my own team, but I honestly can't see us going up to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, or White Hart Lane, as I like to call it, and seeing us getting anything this time round. I'm going to go with a 2-1 defeat, but I bloody hope I'm wrong. And I'm hoping that, I tell you what, I'll have a night on the Shandies if we win 2-1. There we are. Definitely have a night on the Shandies.
If we can make any sense of that prediction, then do pop it in the comments. But anyway, moving forward.
But yeah, being realistic, I think that Spurs have got the momentum and got the flow behind them. The heart, I'm hoping that we can get a point. A point would be absolutely brilliant up there, as they are playing at the moment. But yeah, like I say, night on the Shandies. Yeah, anything's possible. Bring on Real Madrid. Bring on Barcelona. Bring on PSG. No, I'm going a bit too far now, Matt, aren't I? But it shows how far Spurs have come in such a short space of time.
Yeah.
Ange, a manager, again, that I really, really like. Somebody who I, felt desperately sorry for when he was sacked there, to bring in somebody who I really do despise, and I wish that Ed Tudor-Pole actually got the job over him. It would be funny as well. In all honesty, he's a good manager, and they've got momentum. Ugh, I feel dirty. I feel dirty for saying it.
But hey ho.
Yeah.
There's your prediction.
There we are. Well, thank you again, everybody, for checking us out. Please hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the bell button. And even if you're a Spurs fan as well, please, please, please do get involved and give your opinions as well. Matt, it's going to be an interesting one. International break afterwards, and then it's back to the league and back to home comforts against Brighton of all teams.
Yeah, and that's where we'll be back with our next episode of the Dean Call Social.
Fair enough.
On, won't we?
Yes, most definitely. But thank you, everybody, for joining us. I'm off to have a shower now because I do feel that dirty. We'll see you next time.
Talksport Fan Network.
The ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the Talksport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search Talksport Fan Network.